Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm here today with Kristen Thoennes, who is an Air Force spouse living overseas. She serves as the marketing coordinator for Stars and Stripes Europe, and I'm so excited to chat with you because we do not get to chat with our overseas spouses very much. So, Kristen, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, great to have you here. And I thought before we got started, we always ask everyone to share a little bit about your military spouse professional journey so people understand where you came from and where you are now.
Awesome. Yeah. So my husband has been in the military for about 15 years now, and we actually met in college. And at that time, the military was not on our radar. He was gonna work civilian world and all that stuff. But I graduated in 2008 from college, and that was when the recession happened. So that was fun times. It was really hard to find a job. I graduated with a political science degree, so I thought government, easy. There's always jobs there. No, that didn't happen for me. So we ended up living off unemployment for a year, which that was a fun experience. And then it came down to him taking a civilian job or enlisting in the Air Force. And I just had a feeling that the Air Force was the way for us. So that's what we decided on. And I know that's unique for military spouses. We don't always get to make that decision. Sometimes we just fall in love with a military member and that's the life. But we made it together. And so, as a military spouse in my career, that's been interesting. For the longest time, I kind of gave up on the idea of having a career that was meaningful to me or would put me on a path to bigger and better things. So I would just take whatever job I could get where we were stationed. So I've worked for base housing, I worked for a mortgage company, I worked for the world's largest ginkgo biloba farm.
Oh,
That's
wow.
outside of Shaw Air Force Base, in case anybody needs that trivia. Um, and then we PCS to Germany, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to find a job over here. It's so hard. And when we were in Stuttgart, it was very challenging, and I ended up working at the thrift shop as something fun to do for a little extra money. But all the time, I was volunteering. So I started volunteering for spouses clubs when we were stationed in California. I would do their marketing, and then in South Carolina, same thing. And then before coming to Germany, I started volunteering for the Military Spouse Advocacy Network as their marketing coordinator because I wanted to grow that skill set. I found out that I loved marketing and social media, and I wanted to keep up that skill set. So MSAN allowed me to do that from overseas. And then doing that, spouses clubs, I had the confidence to volunteer for AWAG as their public relations director. Excuse me, I'll drink some water now.
And AWAG is Americans Working Around the Globe, for those of you
Yes.
familiar with the acronym.
So they're like a very professional organization for military members, spouses, everybody. And so volunteering for them felt like huge imposter syndrome. But I ended our board year feeling so validated and seen that it gave me lots of confidence. And all my volunteer work eventually led me to where I'm working now at Stars and Stripes. I wouldn't have gotten that job without all that volunteer work. So it's led me to a really cool spot, and I'm really excited. So
No, I
yeah,
love that.
that's my journey.
And I love your views on the importance of strategic volunteering because we talk about that all the time at NMSN because, it's so important. A lot of people are like, stop volunteering, stop doing things for free. But I'm like, no, there is real value in strategic volunteering because um, if you find the right opportunity, they'll actually let you develop skills that you wouldn't have an opportunity to do so otherwise because they're willing to let you take on bigger challenges and give you more leeway. So I'd love it if you could expand upon the importance of strategic volunteering a little bit, and then maybe speak specifically about what kinds of opportunities should people be looking for. And once they find the opportunities, how do they even start getting connected with those organizations that they want to give their time to?
That's a really good question. Yeah, volunteering has been key to my growth. Um, and in the beginning, I kind of just said yes to everything because I didn't really know. So I did spouses clubs for that community connection, but I love giving back. And then I found out the love for marketing. And so then I strategically looked for opportunities doing that. And sometimes you won't find it. And you'll just say yes to something because it checks the box. That happened to me when we first got to Stuttgart. But you make those community connections, and then they're looking out for you when you need something, and vice versa. So um, I credit my job now partially with my friend Tamala, who works for Stars and Stripes as well. But I met her through MSAN.
Mm.
And when she found out we were BCSing to Ramstein, she kept sending me job opportunities at Stars and Stripes. And then she also gave me her resume template. So without those two things, I probably wouldn't be here. So networking really goes into that strategic volunteering as well.
No, that's smart. So, like, I like what you said about how even if the first situation isn't exactly what you wanna do, it might just be your stepping stone to the next situation and to continue networking. That is really, really smart.
Mhm.
I also wanna go back to something you said a little while ago about the challenge of finding, work overseas. Do you have any tips for military spouse job seekers stationed overseas? I mean, how do you find out about job opportunities? I know you mentioned your friend who worked at Stars and Stripes, but if people don't have, like, it's almost like when you hit the ground running, you start to network and everything, but is there something else they can do to find those job opportunities before they get there? Or, is there anything they can do aside from, you know, I imagine everybody will network once they land at their assignment, but it's unless you already know somebody who happens to have a job where you want to work, that can be challenging. So how do you find out about job opportunities otherwise?
That's a really good question. Um, USA Jobs is pretty much the only option overseas. Well, I wouldn't say only option. There are some contractors that work out here. Um, I don't have much experience with them, but yeah, networking was the key for me. Without that piece, I'd probably still be floating around just doing my volunteering stuff. Connecting through organizations like Military Spouse Advocacy Network or AWAG also has come into play. For AWAG in particular, I I attended their annual seminar 2 years ago. That was my first experience with them. And I took a class about LinkedIn from Roseanne Callens, and she's amazing. And she really encouraged me to leverage that volunteer experience and how to make it work on my resume, my LinkedIn, so that I could land the job I wanted. So that part of networking and professional development, continuing to learn and just talk to other people, um, can go a long way. It takes time. Um, it's not an instant gratification all the time. So I always encourage people to just keep trying things, keep meeting people, keep networking, keep your eyes out, and something will come along. And even if it's not something you thought you wanted, you might find something else that you like even more, or that will open other doors to get you where you want to go.
Smart. And then I think key to what you were saying also is the follow through, because it seems to me that you had great follow through. That when you met somebody or someone gave you a tip about something, you followed through and you went for it, you attended, you registered, and yeah, I think that's key. I think as so often we um we hope that people just hand us our opportunities on a silver platter. And what you're saying is, no, you have to hustle to find those opportunities to meet the people who are working at the places where you might want to work. Love it.
I agree. I think that was something when I graduated college, I kind of just expected, like, I have a college degree now. It's time for a job. But that wasn't the case.
It's time for someone to come and hire me. Find me and hire
Y-
me. Yeah, no joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so we spent a little bit of time talking about all the disadvantages of being a military spouse living overseas. I have to think there were some advantages, and you've been there for a while. What are some advantages for professional military spouses living overseas? Tell me there are some.
Oh, of course. I mean, everybody's going to say travel for living overseas. I mean, the ability to meet new people, see new things, the creative outlet or inspiration that comes from that is second to none. But I've mentioned AWAG a couple times, and I'm like their biggest cheerleader. But that's one of the biggest ones I found here for overseas community that is doing amazing things. Like you said, it stands for Americans Working Around the Globe, and they host professional development and leadership seminars here for European people stationed in Europe. And they bring in top-notch speakers, and I've learned so much. One of my first classes was about growth mindset, and that like blew my mind. I'm a perfectionist, so growth mindset was huge for me and has really helped me give myself grace about all the challenges that military spouse life throws at me. Um, and the volunteer experiences of that helps. You can serve on their board and all the normal stuff. Um, but yeah, I felt really like they poured into me more than any other organization I've been in. And it's here in Europe. And I had never heard of it before coming here. And I think it's one of those things. Somebody recently told me that it is too big to be this small. I was like, yes, that's it. So I'm excited to see it grow and see how many more lives can be impacted by that organization. Um, but yeah, there's tons of other organizations in Europe too to volunteer with to grow your skill set. USO is amazing. Red Cross is very active over here. Even just volunteering with the base or post, like with MFRC or ACS, like there's so many opportunities to grow over here. And if you can't find that compensated work, invest in yourself, grow those skill sets, and it will pay off 100%.
I love it. And that makes so much sense to me because when we were stationed at Ramstein, I took that time to get my master's.
Mm,
Because they brought in such great professors to come teach overseas. We did it through the University of Oklahoma. And what I didn't know when I started was that there are scholarships available for that because you're overseas and they're so active over there. And I thought that was really great. And I don't know that I would have had time to do that otherwise because I would have been working.
hmm.
But because I couldn't find a job, I'm like, no, this is a good time to go back to school if you can afford it, or and now there's so many free classes online that like if you just if even if you don't want another degree, you can just go upskill, right, with a certificate or something. So I really
Yeah.
that.
I did that too while in Stuttgart. Took a master's certificate from Southern New Hampshire University in
Huh.
social media marketing. Like, who knew that's a thing that you can get a degree in? And it was amazing. It helped validate a lot of things that I had like observed from my volunteer work, and then helped me like jump to that next level. So yeah, education's amazing.
And never
Opportunities all over
wasted.
here.
Yeah.
True, very true.
No, I love it. Thank you so much for the tips and thanks for sharing your time with us. I know it's late there. But thank you guys so much for joining us and listening to Kristen's story. And thank you to our friends at USA for making these conversations possible. And I hope if you have a great story to share, you will apply for your own highlight and then who knows who you will inspire. Thanks so much, Kristen. And thank you all. We will see you here again next week. Bye, guys.